Lately, I've been thinking about the way time changes as we grow older. It's a strange thing to notice because nothing announces the change when it happens. Life continues in much the same way it always has. Days become weeks, weeks become months, and before long, another year has quietly found its place behind us. The change only becomes visible when we look back. When I look back at my childhood, the years seem remarkably spacious. Each one has its own texture, its own color, almost its own weather. I can step into these memories without much effort, and they are filled with details that, by all accounts, should have disappeared long ago. The beginning of every school year is one of those memories. I grew up in India, where schools reopened in June just as the monsoon arrived. Summer vacation was coming to an end, and I remember looking forward to school with an excitement that had very little to do with studying. It began with a visit to the stationery shop. Choosing notebooks felt like an important decision. Some had glossy covers, some were plain, and somehow each seemed to promise a different year. At home, every notebook was wrapped in brown paper before it found its place in my school bag. I took my time writing my name on the label, convinced that neat handwriting somehow deserved a neat beginning. There are many memories like these. I remember family dinners that marked another year gone by, afternoons spent with cousins during school holidays, and familiar voices of neighbors that drifted into our home through open windows. None of these moments asked to be remembered. They were simply part of everyday life, and somehow they stayed. What surprises me is not that I remember these things, it is how much of them I remember. The color of a dress, the feel of a new backpack resting on my shoulders, the excitement of seeing friends after holidays, a classroom that no longer exists. It feels as though those years left behind countless small footprints, each one still visible after all this time. The years that followed are different. I remember finishing college and stepping into my first job. I remember the excitement of earning my own salary, moving into new homes, learning to build an adult life one decision at a time. Those years brought experiences that shaped me far more deeply than a new notebook ever could. They carried responsibilities, friendships, disappointments, moments of courage, and moments of doubt. Looking back, I know they mattered. Yet, when I try to remember them, they seem to gather into broad stretches instead of individual days. The milestones stand out clearly, but the ordinary days between them are much more difficult to recall. Those days carried my life forward just as faithfully as the memorable ones did, but they seem to have left a lighter imprint. For a long time, I assumed this was simply what growing older meant. I accepted that childhood belonged to memory in a way adulthood never could. Psychologists often explain childhood is filled with first experiences. A child's world is constantly expanding and almost everything feels new. But even then, I found myself returning to the same question. If novelty is part of the answer, is it the whole answer though? I think about the afternoons that have stayed with me in recent years, and they have something in common. They are usually quiet, an afternoon walk beside the ocean, a cup of tea after the rain, sitting on a bench a little longer than I intended because the light had become beautiful. Those memories feel different. Perhaps that is why this thought has stayed with me for so long. I don't miss childhood because life was simpler. What I miss is the feeling of living inside a day instead of moving quickly across its surface. Children seem to enter the world completely. They don't treat an afternoon as something to get through before evening arrives. They allow ordinary things to occupy their full attention, and perhaps those ordinary things repay them by becoming memories. I wonder whether that way of living disappears or whether it simply becomes hidden beneath the pace of adult life. I don't know the answer. I only know that every so often I catch a glimpse of it again. It happens when rain arrives after a long spell of dry weather, when I open a new notebook and pause for a moment before writing on the first page, when I find myself noticing something small that would once have escaped me completely. Those moments feel familiar, although I could never explain why. They remind me the days we call ordinary are quietly becoming our lives, whether we notice them or not.